What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, my friends. It is the 15th of April. We're chilling at around 85K, just below there. And I did make a video about 12 hours ago. Where would it have been? Would have been somewhere around here, right? Somewhere like right around here. And I was saying in that video, we're at a point where we're going to make a decision, where we're either going to go up or we're going to go down, right? This isn't me saying, oh, we're moving down, I'm right, or oh, if we're moving up, I'm right. I don't care about that, right? At the end of the video, I did suggest that I believe that we were actually going to move to the upside. But we wouldn't. Throughout that whole video, I also said that we won't move up to the upside if, when we move, we don't get significant volume. And we did have a little pickup in volume relative to the 1 hour. It's a little pickup, but it's not enough. It wasn't enough. 4 hour time frame, we didn't really get a whole lot of volume at all. Below average volume as we're seeing new relative highs here. Not good enough. All the volume came in, but to the downside, to the red side. So it's looking like what we did was essentially try to move higher in a moment where we needed to. There wasn't enough interest, there wasn't enough reason for Bitcoin to go higher for whatever reason, and so now we're going down. We're looking for more interest to the downside, people who might want to buy down here, people who might want to sell to the people who want to buy down here, stuff like that, right? I think that we would have continued moving higher if this move was a little bit more robust and if we saw some volume coming through, but there's kind of an absence of that right now. There's more volume coming in as we're moving to the downside. So let's carry on with the thought of going lower, right? I do think we're going lower. We're at 84.9K now from the relative lows, which we have not established as lows, right? We absolutely could, and I want to just say this before we get into where I think we're going to go here. We could go below these lows. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. It's completely possible, and you should accept it as a very possible outcome that Bitcoin could go below 74K. It could go below $70,000. We don't know. In fact, if we take this relative low here to relative high, your minimum target would be 71.8K. 71.7K, potentially down to 68,000. We could see that. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. I don't think this is what we're due for. I don't think that's what we're going to do. But if it happens, I'm not going to panic. I would buy more. I'll hold. If I don't have any cash and I'm fully deployed, I'm going to hold. I'm not just going to panic and panic sell there when that is likely the worst area to sell. Likely the low itself would be there, and we'd start to progress immediately out of that. I'm talking about this not because I think it's going to happen, but because in case there's anybody out there who doesn't think it's going to happen like me, but unlike me, you're not expecting it or accepting it as a possibility, this could throw you for a loop if that happens, right? You could turn mega bearish and make the wrong decisions down there. I don't want that to happen. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. Do whatever you want. But my assumption is likely instead of seeing an extension down here past this line, past the low here, extending through this, instead of seeing an extension, I think we'll see a retracement of this overall move here. So I'm taking the low to high here. I'm not taking the fake out high here. So this encapsulates the move a little bit better, I think. The minimum target that I would expect that we achieve would be the 382. And likely you go just below that. It's very common to find support on the 382, right on the 382, if it's during a strong move. And not that this is like a weak move, but it's definitely not a strong, like a strong move is like that, right? This is, you're dilly-dallying. You're figuring things out. And that's fine, whatever. Since it's not a strong move, and I think it's not a strong move, it's very common to actually wick a little bit below the 382. Bitcoin has had a very strong flirtation with the 0.5 area throughout this whole cycle as well, as resistance and as support. So going just below the 382, potentially finding support at the 0.5, I would say 81.5K to $80,000. That's where I think we're going to go. And that probably happens over the next couple of days, if not over the next 3 days. That's my assumption. I think that it will be a very short-lived endeavor. We're going to move down pretty fast and then move up pretty fast, right? It's nothing to be worried about. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but my assumption is there are some big players in the markets who want to buy your cryptos at lower prices, and they know that there are some shaky retail investors in right now who maybe they sold down here and they bought up here just because they're like, oh, I learned my lesson, I sold the low, I'm not going to do that again. Then it drops, like, what was I thinking? Why did I buy up here? It's going to go to zero. They sell here, they panic sell, these little shakeouts, that's what they're called. That's what they're called, shakeouts, for a reason. They give big money, strong hands, the opportunity to buy at lower prices, no matter how relative it is, no matter how insignificant it might be to you. It's just an opportunity to buy. And then also to build structure, to find higher lows and show in the charts, show the speculators around the world that we're ready to go higher. I'm just talking at this point, but essentially all I'm saying is $81.5 to $80,000. If I had to lean closer one way or another, I'd say probably 80 to 81K. That's where I think we're going to go. It's not that big of a difference from 80 to 81.5K. But could you go lower? Absolutely. You could go to 79K, 78K. I don't think we do, but you could. That's your golden ratio there. You could find support there. You could go even lower than that. As long as you're holding above $75.8 thousand, I think we're fine to the downside. I don't think that we're going to go lower. But personally, I'm looking for you to hold 81.5 to $80,000. Okay, that's my expectation at the moment. The 1 hour RSI does look rather bearish. Overbought. Not getting oversold, but not getting overbought this time. You probably go a little bit lower, looking neutral, but a little bit bearishly leaning right now. The 4 hour time frame, same kind of idea here, except you did get oversold, did not get overbought. You rejected it. Now you're getting above the 60, coming below the 60 immediately. Above the 60, below the 60 immediately. So I think that you are going to go down probably to your 40 area, if not even your oversold area, if not even into the oversold area. Something like that could happen, or just something that's, a straight drop and then you bounce. Something lower is what I would expect, and that something lower would likely take you at least, I think, to $81,500, right? Prior area of support here, prior area of support there. It's your relative 382, prior area of support here, right? Somewhat significant. You could go lower, absolutely you could, and you should expect that. 81.5 to 80K is the target area, okay? Looking at this on a daily basis, things start to turn a little bit more bullish. The shorter term stuff looks bearish, but the daily basis looks pretty bullish in my opinion. We're breaking out of this downtrend in the RSI. That does not mean you have to move up right now, but you can, but probably not. I mean, we're probably going to go down a little bit. And here's the thing with the daily RSI, you could move down and you're still in a bullish posturing. You're still fine. So I'm not worried about this at all. I wouldn't be concerned about the daily. It looks pretty good, but we haven't validated this as a low yet. So it's not time to celebrate completely. I do believe that this is the low for Bitcoin. It took a lot for us to get there, but I do believe that that's the low. I don't believe we go lower. If we do go lower, that's fine. It can go outside my expectations and what I believe, and that's fine. It can go lower, and I wouldn't freak out at all. I would just buy more, or at least hold what I do have. I would not sell, but I don't expect that we go below this low. However, that's not validated until we at least get above this 382 on a closing basis, which is at 86.2K. I would rather see us get above this daily high close here, which is at about 88,000. If we can get above 88K on a daily basis, daily closing basis, I'll be convinced. To me, that will validate this as a low. But if you're somebody who's a bit of a stickler for the charts, a bit of a stickler for validation, let's hear that out, right? The golden ratio then, in my opinion, would be a good area to validate Bitcoin, right? And that's at about 94.4K. We get above 94.4K on a daily closing basis. If we get above the breakout point here at 96K on a daily closing basis, you can't be bearish anymore. You can't argue. Like we validated that as a low, and the only direction that we're looking to now is the sky. We're going higher. Okay, not financial advice, not a financial advisor. I think we're going a little bit lower over the coming days, right? We might see something exactly like this where we're on our way up, right? We're figuring things out. We move down abruptly just to move up abruptly. I still believe that Bitcoin can see 111K by the end of this month, by the end of April. If anybody out there is saying 111K, we're at 85K right now. You're telling me we're going to go to 111K by the end of April. C-Zar, that's 15 days. You're saying Bitcoin's going to make a 30% move in 15 days? That's crazy. It's not crazy. It's a lot. It's a big move. It's exciting. But from a low to a high, I mean, in 9 days' time, we saw a move that was 40% back here in November. And that was whenever we were breaking out of our multi-month consolidation phase here. We might be breaking out of our multi-month consolidation phase here as well and seeing a move, a leg up like this. Something like that could happen once we figure ourselves out and determine that we are, in fact, moving higher. Right? I wouldn't say that this is the exact move I'm anticipating or something like this, but or maybe I should say something like this could be expected, right? Where we move down kind of abruptly and then move up abruptly, right? Something like that. You move down kind of abruptly and then move up abruptly. If we're looking at the fibs here, it's very common whenever you're working your way higher to find resistance at the 382, find support at the 236, which, hey, that's right there at 81.5K. You can go a little bit below that line, that's fine, but around there. It's more of an argument there to find support at 81.5K than 80K, honestly. But if you go to 80K, you're fine, whatever. 382, 236 maneuver takes you right up to the golden ratio. That's the expectation. And odds are, and the reason why I'm comparing it to this here is because I would expect it to be just like this. You drop fast, and then you rip fast. It's not going to be this long drawn out thought process of getting to the golden ratio, and we're in the middle of May before we're even there. I don't think, I mean, it could happen, but I doubt it. Oftentimes with these 382 to 236 maneuvers, you do see a rapid recovery to the golden ratio, which again, that's at $94.4 to $97,000. So that's that area where ultimate undeniable validation will occur if and when we see that. And I would assume that this happens over the next week or so. If we are not here by, let's just say, like a week from now, the 22nd, if we're not here, or at least looking like we're going to be there around that time by the 22nd, if we're not here and we don't, within a week or more of time left in April, if we're not here, then 111K might actually not happen by the end of this month. But if we are here within the next 7 days, maybe 8 or 9 days, something like that, if we're here and we have a week left in the month of April, we don't need that much time, you guys, to see that little bit extra growth. And I do think 111K, I'm sticking with that target until the end of April, until proven otherwise. I shouldn't even say till the end of April, but until proven otherwise is probably a better way to phrase that. And to prove me otherwise, I would say, don't get up here. Don't get to 94.4K. Don't get to 97K. If you don't see that price within a week or so, let's see, by the 23rd, I suppose, so literally like a week from now, then yeah, maybe it's not appropriate to call for 111K. Maybe we'll be at higher or lower targets, and that's totally fine. Not lower targets than like this low, but I just mean lower targets than 111K. But if we're up here in about a week, if we're up here in 4 or 5 days or 8 days, if we're up here in any of those kind of time frames, then 111K should be very heavily considered by the end of the month. We will likely see new all-time highs, and all that is what's to come. Ending the video on a bullish note because we can't get distracted, right? This little move down, it's not worth getting distracted over. We've got much higher prospects to go. And not just in April, but in May and in June as well, we're going to see some phenomenal growth. At least I'm expecting that. 170K is the target by the end of this next endeavor. By the end of this next move. Not by the end of the cycle, but by the end of the next move. 170, 180K, maybe even higher than that. By the end of June is what I'm thinking, okay? We're at 84.8K now. I'm expecting Bitcoin to drop a little bit. How much of a percentage drop is this so we can get a reference on the altcoin markets as well, maybe? Bitcoin drops a little bit down to what, 81.5K. Keep on dropping Bitcoin, something like that. That's a 4% drop. So we might see about a 10% drop across the board for the average crypto. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but I think that it's a great time to get into crypto. I think it's a phenomenal time to be a part of crypto. If I had a majority of my cash deployed into the markets, but I had a little bit on the sideline, that's okay right now, right? That's okay. It's probably good to wait to buy. I'm not saying sell because Bitcoin's moving down 4%. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's probably good to wait. But if I'm outside of the market, if I don't have any skin in the game at all and I'm completely sidelined, I have nothing, that's a bad idea. It's probably not a good idea to wait because here's the deal. I could be wrong. We could, at any given moment, just rip right on through. It could happen with altcoins, with Bitcoin, whatever. Right? This is not that crazy of a drop. There probably will be altcoins that are pumping. Altcoins that you're watching while Bitcoin drops, there will be some altcoins that pump. I would bet a lot. Most of them will drop, but there will be some, probably the ones that you've got your eyes on, but the ones that you didn't buy, right? Those are the ones that are going to pump. All I'm saying right now, guys, is if you are sidelined, if you have no capital in the markets or very minimal amounts of capital, you need to park it somewhere fast. You need to get into the markets fast. Don't worry, and do whatever you want to do, but I wouldn't even worry about this drop. I would just park it somewhere. With that being said, I expect that if you wait a couple of days, probably even like a day itself from now, I bet you'll get cheaper prices. I bet you will, to the tune of 4% for Bitcoin, 10% or more for the average altcoin. I'm sure you will. I'm sure that's going to happen. But just because I'm sure of it doesn't mean that it will happen. And it's that risk of it potentially not happening. You're worried about this. But what you really should be worried about is the big move that's coming, right? That's off the chart, literally. It's too big. It's too big. You know, that's what you should be worried about. So if you have no skin in the game or minimal amounts of skin in the game, get in the game. If you've got a lot of money, a predominant portion of your capital is in crypto, you know, maybe you can afford to be patient and wait a little bit. I'm waiting. I've got some capital on the sides, but I'm basically fully deployed at this point in time. So I'm just waiting probably a day or two to throw that extra capital back in. If the markets move up, if I'm proven wrong, guess what? Most of my money's in crypto. I'm still going to be making money, so that's fine. That's totally fine. I can afford that risk. But if you're someone who's on the sideline, I don't think you can really afford that risk. But I don't know. Again, none of that's financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just really talking here just to promote a sense of urgency, right? Regardless of what we might do in the immediate term, over the weeks to come, over the months to come, it's going to be a phenomenal move to the upside. We're really going to see the finale phase of the bull market begin over the coming weeks, guys. So it's not something that you want to play with. I'm just talking at this point, so I'm going to end the video there. 81 and a half, $80,000. That's the expectation. Maybe a 10% drop across the board for the average altcoin. I got nothing else for you guys. You know what? Let's actually, on that note, let's do this real quick. Let's do this real quick. Others, where would you drop to? Let's see. Maybe down to your 886, maybe right there. Complete the thought. Get down to that 886 you tried. Maybe the average altcoin drops 17% instead of 10%. Maybe they don't. Maybe they don't drop that much. Maybe they do. Maybe you find some kind of double bottom or a slightly higher low, 10%. But I think 10% to 20% of a drop should be expected or anticipated over the coming days for the average altcoin. And maybe not 20%, but something closer to 10%. But that just to help validate that here. I don't think we go below this low, but I wouldn't be surprised if you went a little bit lower. Okay, bye-bye. That's all I got.